Yeah, that was a joke of a game. You've got your guy on the mound. Sonny Gray is supposed to be the one that can get things off on the right foot. Cardinals miss a chance to get a nice sweep yesterday, and they come back home, and you're non-competitive in this game. And it just felt like, however many home runs Sonny Gray gave up, he was still going to, be pitching 5 or 6 innings because that's kind of the point of the season that you're in, where it's just about getting through it. And we're trying to get through it here with y'all right here on STL Sports Central. But if you didn't love today's game on your holiday, maybe you had a day off to watch some baseball, and the Cardinals, they gave you clunker. I'm sorry, but you can let us know your frustrations with your thoughts in the live chat here on YouTube. But yeah, Sarah, that was. I know the A's do have an exciting young core, and they're sort of a team on the rise. But anytime you have a lopsided score like that one, the 11-3, the final, that just that's kind of the disappointing way to start the homestand.
Yeah, they just teed off. And to be honest, like you said, holiday weekend, I'm sure a lot of families are like super stoked, right? To bring their families to the game. They're like, oh, we got these Labor Day tickets. We're going to go. We're going to see. And my heart goes out, honestly. It just broke for all the people that were there that made this like an eventful weekend thing, right? Because that's what used to be Cardinal baseball prior to this year, a couple years, whatever. It was like the event to go to. It was like make things around Cardinal schedule, And so for all those people that bought tickets and things, it's like you go down there and it's just, A's teeing off. It's just not what you want to see. So Herrera gave them a little bit of excitement. Good. A couple fireworks. At least they saw something,
that was a
right?
Bomb.
It was.
He crushed that home run.
It was. And as Nick Jensen states, I guess this is where they're at, getting embarrassed by the A's. It makes me laugh when people are like, they have a soft schedule for the second half. Yes, Cardinals are an easy win for others. Soft schedule or not, hard schedule or not, I don't care. This is not what Cardinal Nation expects as a product to be put on the field.
Yeah, it's big league baseball, no matter who you're playing. And you just hate to get embarrassed in a game like that. It's embarrassing on the holiday, 11-3, the final. You mentioned we can always probably pick out a couple of bright spots, right? I enjoyed watching how far that ball went for Ivan Herrera, who started to tick things back up again. He had gotten that OPS down to like 770, and he was kind of hurting for a little bit there, but we're seeing him trending back up, which is good to see, of course. One of the better hitters in the lineup, you want to believe. So you like that. I like seeing Lars Nootbaar, a few base hits today with a 3-for-4 leading things off. It just was probably few and far between otherwise. I saw a comment as well about the strikeouts that have happened. I don't know the exact number. Jeremy said it's near 50 in the last 4 games. Of course, we know on the pitching side, Cardinals winning a game in that Cincinnati series without getting a strikeout on the pitching side. It's just a very weird way things are going right now, Sarah. And few and far between to find the bright spots for today's game.
So, Brendan, Sonny Gray, his 18th home start. Clearly, a couple of things too. Contreras not serving a suspension, still pending that because he appealed that. That will be a couple of games. And then you've got some question marks with the catcher role because they've had some call-ups. As of today, they can officially add 2 additional men to the roster because it is September 1st. So, of course, Victor Scott coming off of the DL. And then, Church has been fantastic at center. So there are a couple of things that need to be discussed as far as the Cardinal organization goes and who they want to put where for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I like the play that Church made, sliding Getch in shallow center field early in today's game was, at the time, maybe a momentum shifter. Of course, things didn't end up going the Cardinals' way. He plays a good outfield defense, but so does Victor Scott. And Victor Scott's numbers, I think, have a higher potential for the upside that he could bring offensively. Church is just hitting about a $108 with the Cardinals. I'm not sure if his bat is fully going to translate into being a guy that can really challenge for an everyday role, but I appreciate that the Cardinals did give him a look. I think, if anything, that should be what right now is about for today and the rest of the season. Guys to get some opportunities, and then you can maybe decide what they're made of and how you want to sort of align them moving forward, whether they become somebody that's a trade candidate or a player that you want to give regular opportunities to moving forward. You can make some of those determinations, I think, down the stretch. And Victor didn't start today. Evidently, he played 3 rehab games in a row, and so today was just going to be a rest day for him. A little bit strange, but there's a lot of that going around. It just is what it is at this point in time. You mentioned the catcher stuff. Pages in the lineup today. A couple things on him. I know he catches a lot of flack for being, maybe not as productive of a bat as others in the lineup, but really right now you don't have a lineup that's very robust 1 through 9. Pedro Pages, I don't know if people realize how good of an August he had. I mean, he had an OPS above 1,000 for the month of August and had been one of the team's more productive hitters in that month. So I appreciate the defense he brings, and I think offensively he can settle into being a passable starting catcher. I don't ever think he'll be a league average or above average hitter, but if he's a little below average at the plate, but still passable, and you're getting that good defense, I think that's something that can play. All of that being said, you do call up Jimmy Crooks. I'll be curious, last 4 weeks of the season, how many looks do they get from Jimmy Crooks? Because he homers the game. You like that?
Yeah.
Homers and hit is a bomb. You love to see that. I think we know about the bat. I think the bat is going to be ultimately more productive than what Pages brings during their respective big league careers. I think the part that we don't really know yet about Jimmy Crooks is what will he be behind the plate, and can he manage the game and call the game and do all of the things the Cardinals expect of that position. I think they know that Pages can do those things to their liking. This is not a team that is destined for the playoffs in 2025. I do agree. You may want to look more at a Jimmy Crooks down the stretch to find out about what he could be made of, because you have a decision to be made on catcher. Pages is here. We know Pozo has done a nice job this year. Crooks had to come onto the 40-man roster anyway, or he would have been Rule 5 eligible. So they've added him. And Leo Bernal, who's been a good catcher and is a high-touted prospect in Double-A, has to be added to the 40-man this winter as well. I don't know if they keep 4 of them on the 40-man roster, if somebody could be traded or what the circumstance might be there. So to get a look at Crooks and figure out, like, can he man this backup role or even the starting role for 2026? Can he come into spring with his eyes on the prize when it comes to that? Or does he need to work on a few things, and we maybe need to make sure we keep a Pozo, or we retain Pages as the starter? Like, I think those conversations are coming as well. So getting a look at Jimmy Crooks, I think, could be beneficial, and we'll see how many days a week they end up doing that the rest of the way.
So I think having these organizational prospects come up and debut and have their time, or not debut, but have their time and their efforts and energy is a good thing. But at the same time, we've always had this mix and match team, right? You've had guys that can play, that can wear multiple hats, that can be in multiple places and be successful, not necessarily like accelerate, but be successful. And now you're adding more into the mix. You've got these guys that you finally have called up and they're going to be able to contribute. So now I feel like it almost kind of dilutes what you're trying to do a little bit, because you're like, we have all this talent now. Now we have a bigger pool, right? A ton more fish to pick from. And what are we going to do? Because we have prospects, we have guys in the organization that have been here that can do this, and then we've got guys that are on their way out, a couple more years, we've got money, we've got this. I feel like it almost just kind of like makes everything a bit more muddled, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what the job is going to have to be for the incoming president of baseball operations. Chaim Bloom, that's the canvas for him. And I really hope he takes advantage of it, Sarah. I hope it's not a case where you kind of say, all right, what are some incremental changes? What are some small moves we could make to maybe get 1% better over here, and we can get 2% better over? It's not that. I think it's a full scale. You got to shuffle through things. You got to turn this roster over. You have to look at the 40-man and say there's half of it that probably needs to go. There are a lot of things I think the Cardinals need to do before getting back toward their winning ways and the way we want to see. All of that being said, I don't think it's a completely destitute situation. I think there are pieces and parts that can be especially useful. Some of them may be useful in a trade, though. Some of them may be useful in the lineup next year. Some of them may be prospects that just aren't quite ready to go yet when you think about the way they've handled a Weatherholt, a Quinn Matthews. I think the Cardinals don't have to be light years away from being able to contend again, but I really believe the fastest way to get them back on track is to have the next guy that comes in basically take a complete 180-degree differential in terms of the approach to how you handle the 40-man, how you handle the 26-man. And Chaim Bloom needs to be a little bit more, or maybe a lot more aggressive in saying, hey, here's a move that I think will help us. Unfortunately, it means we're going to have to part with this guy, that guy, and the other guy. But it feels like that's the best way forward for the organization. You make that decisive move, and then you move on, and you see how it plays out, and you react accordingly. It just feels like the Cardinals, as you said, things are muddied because you're trying to figure out so much about all these guys, and you're hesitant to make the wrong decision, and you've got competing interests with giving playing time here, there, and the other place. It's just not feasible to be able to do it all. They're gathering data. I hope Chaim Bloom comes in and utilizes it, and it's asking a lot. I'm not trying to say it's an easy thing to turn over half of a 40-man roster in one winter. I would argue that it is necessary to refresh the organization, and even if that doesn't immediately result in a like a winning record in 2026. I do think if you showed tangible change, and Hein Bloom gets in front of a microphone as he's going to have to do running the team. We haven't heard from him yet, but that's all about to change. And he's able to articulate, hey, here's why we did all the, these 5 things over the winter. Understand that people maybe really like this player or that player, but we felt like the best thing to move us forward is to do these things and come out and explain what you're doing to the fan base and say, understand that we are trying to get this thing back moving in the right direction again. And we hope you'll be along for the ride with us. We know we've got to earn your trust back. I think those are the sorts of things that we want to see, because this Cardinals team isn't going to lose 100 games this year. Teams like the A's, yeah, they're on the rise, but they had to go through 100 loss type of seasons before they could get back to where they're heading. I don't believe the Cardinals need that, but I do think they need targeted change, Sarah, when it comes to the way that the front office and ownership and everybody decides to say, hey, here's the plan to Cardinals fans. Hope you understand, and if not, we're going to prove it to you that this is going to work in the long run.